y'all doing out there? This is Obade Dayo. We're at a glass of water and a candle, the study group. Thank everybody for participating, listening to this perspective of mine to help empower you in the world of spiritualism. Today we're going to talk about how to recognize and develop your spiritual gifts, so that you know what it is that you have been bestowed upon by the heavens to have a certain communication with the celestial. Everyone is different. We all have different gifts or different strengths within the spiritual world. Some are blessed with a gumbo of all different kinds of gifts. Others have a particular gift that if they learn how to cultivate it, they become very proficient in. And so we're going to talk about what it is these gifts are. The common word for the ability to see spirits is referred to as clairvoyance. People who are clairvoyant have the ability to actually see entities. They see the residue of a past life as it travels or it hovers and orbits in in a living person's aura. Sometimes these people see these spirits in projections, maybe of a time past. It's almost like how a picture captures a moment and then articulates it through light, through different points of light, and then together they recreate this moment. This goes into the concept of what I talk about in the book about the eye. The human eye is one of the first cameras. We capture information. Now, you don't see with your eyes. Your eyes are an instrument that allow you to collect information for your environment, so that those who are gifted with clairvoyance, a lot of times you will see that these people have wide opening eyes. They're able to capture in more light than you and I. They're able to see different colors as they exist beyond just what we know the bands of light to be. Clairvoyance is a gift and a curse. Like some of these gifts, they all have two sides to them. And so it is a lifelong journey for the clairvoyant to learn how to turn this off so that they can maintain a physical existence without being burdened with having to see spirits all the time in every place. After clairvoyance, we have what people call clairaudience, right? Or audio clairant. And these are people who hear spirits. They hear the voice of a different consciousness whispering or even mumbling to them certain truths. This is a gift and a curse as well, because it becomes a struggle for the clairaudient or the audio clairant to maintain his own thoughts, right? In the last episode, we talked about self-inventory and how important it is even to be able to recognize spirit, because you have to know what it is that who you are and what your thoughts are, so that you are clear that when you have invading information or opinions entering your psyche, that these are coming from an outside source. So the clairaudient, the person who hears spirits, is a messenger. They relay what they hear. After the clairaudient, we have the intuitive. The intuitive person has the most arduous journey of all of the mystics, because the intuition can be sometimes vague, and in its inability to be specific, it creates a lot of doubt, and so the person may go through different emotional changes when dealing with this gift that can become a curse to a person. So someone who is intuitive has a feeling, but they don't have a specific understanding of what that feeling entails. And this will put the person that has the intuition in a very precarious position, because they get a premonition, but it's not anything that explains what is the danger. They have a feeling. And in this feeling, they tell you, listen, don't go outside yet, but you got to go to work. And you're like, look, come on, man. What's the problem? I don't know what it is. Don't go outside. Only if the person goes outside and meets the tragedy are they confirmed in their intuition. And so it's a bittersweet paradox where you don't want to be right, but you also have to have some sort of context of exactness to this feeling. So the person, they negate, don't worry about it, I'll be fine. They leave, they go outside, they get in the car gets up to the block, it gets hit by a bus or a truck, and the person dies. Or maybe they don't, maybe they're just severely injured, right? Now this person's intuition becomes relevant, because now they have an experience that they can attach it to. Like, listen, I had a feeling, and then John left the house, and then he got hit by a truck. So now, through trial and error, the person will understand this gift based on the tragedies that they have witnessed and have been signaled or affected as a prelude to the actual event. And so this makes the person somewhat bitter, because they become resentful for this gift, because they don't want to know, right? And sometimes they don't. It's the worst part is to have such an information but be unable to change a series of events. And this is a part of what we have to do in terms of finding our truth. And this is all back to self-inventory. You cannot conceive the gift. You don't understand it because it comes at a cost. And so the gift is, or the talent is wasted if the person is not channeled into some form of mysticism that allows them to use these gifts for the greater community. So this trial and error you go through, where you heard the spirit say something, you relayed the information to the person didn't adhere to the information or the advice, they met with a tragic or an obstacle that you have already prophesied. This is where the fear comes in. This is when people, they would rather not know. People like to be without any consequence or they don't want to have any guilt or responsibility to anything. And so a lot of times this is how we have witch hunts, because somebody was prophesizing, don't do this. And then when people went ahead and did it and they had no one to blame, then they blamed the prophet. You told us this was happening, this witchcraft. And then here we are. So trial and error is a real thing in spiritualism, in all forms of spiritualism, because you have to have evidence that the prophecy is correct. And usually the prophecy comes more direct when it deals with things of tragedy and situations of despair, right? And so how do you recognize that you have these gifts? Well, if you see something that nobody else sees, I mean, there's not really much for us to debate about. What do you see? If you're able to describe it and it resonates with someone, like that you can actually see an ancestor. You can see somebody in their family line that is walking with them, and you describe them to the person, and they've never showed you a photo. This will give you an understanding that your vision is quite correct. The same with the the audio clarion or the clairaudient. The person who hears things will only have the evidence of the prophecy coming true to have evidence that they are having a true audio clarion experience. Like I said, the intuitive person has the one of the most debilitating gifts, because there is no specificity in the prophecy. It is a feeling, and it's only through trial and error that once you had the feeling happen more than once that you can recognize that the consequences of the events that ensued afterwards were contingent on the feelings you had. Then you will have some sort of evidence. The last dream, it's not the last gift, but another gift that one may necessarily be bestowed with is dreams. And dreams are very malleable. They are subject to many different things: what you ate, where you are, the amount of sleep that you've had, or the amount of work that you have. All of these strenuous things contribute to the ability to actually traverse the dream world. And so the dreamer has the best advice for a dreamer that I can advise is that one would get a book and find different methods of thought in terms of how to catch dreams. This is why the Native Americans give us a dream catcher to put up behind our bed so that we catch the dreams and we understand them and we can decipher them. The other part about the dreams is this deciphering of it. So, but the most important part is the memory. So you want to have a book next to the bed so that when you have a profound dream, before you put your feet on the ground, that you grab your book and you write the most profound things that you remember of the dream, right? And the dream will reveal itself over time and over consequence, so that over some time, if you've been having these dreams and you've seen these people and they're giving you these messages, and the information does not surface or does not come to fruition until a year later, you have it written down as your prophecy is being evident. The other part is that the dreams sometimes come encoded. So sometimes they are backwards, or they are an allegory of what is happening in the real world. And so one thing I want people to understand, and I've expressed this in other episodes, is that it is not the duty or the function of deity or spirits to actually inform us. They are going against company rules when they give us information. They are to guide us, but we have free will. And so in having free will, they are not supposed to intervene. And so when they do, they give us these riddles to ensure that we have a heads up to the obstacle course ahead of us. Excuse me. It is very important that when we're talking about spirits, we understand that they speak in riddles, and sometimes the dreams are upside down and backwards. And so it takes a trial and error for the dreamer to have a clear perspective or comprehension or interpretation of the dream. And this is why I said these gifts come with a curse. People who dream tend to, after the dream, be quite stressed and worried about how true the dream is going to come to pass, and what were the symbols and the significance of the dream. Now, the benefits of the dreamers is the dreamers get to play. They're good at gambling when picking numbers. There are some spirits that, if you find a good spirit that can prophesize or foresee the lotto number, people have maintained themselves with spirits as such, where they have the number in a dream and then they go and play the number. Or the audio clarion portion hears the spirit and the spirit tells them to play this number. And so that you will find that most mystics, a lot of times, in order to really truly survive, they gamble, as they are clerics and don't have the time to devote to a career and to do spiritual work. So they rely on the spirits to capture luck in their favor. Okay. Another gift that is also a spiritual gift, it is not something that just anyone can learn, is divination. Everyone is not gifted to pull tarot. Everyone is not gifted to understand the decadence of the astrological wheel. Everyone is not blessed or gifted to be an herbalist. Everyone is not gifted to be a Reiki specialist in different things. And so divination is actually a gift. It is the ability for someone to interpret a series of probable chances that are expressing themselves or surfacing in this diagnosis of a person. There are some people who I've seen read tea leaves. Divination is a gift. It is attached to clairaudience, clairvoyance, intuition. It is attached to these things. And so this is all part of the gifts that mysticism and spiritualism cultivate, so that people are at their best when doing or performing such gifts. Finding your truth and self-inventory. We talked about self-inventory in another episode, and finding your truth. And in order to do that, one must accept that you know nothing. You must come into this arena of philosophy and tradition knowing that you are a fool. Because in order to understand when entering to this, and it is not your indoctrinated culture, you must accept the fact that you know nothing. And so it takes the ability to brainwash oneself in order to be re-educated or reprogrammed. And so there is a great gold rush to spirituality right now on the internet. And everybody has all of the academic and the scholastic information, but they don't have the ritual knowledge. And it is unfortunate, but we here at Omedina, we are giving out the basic fundaments. So understand that if you have one of these gifts, how can you now exercise these gifts? And again, it requires a congregation, a community. It requires other spiritualists. So that you might not even speak your truth, but you might hear someone else speak the same truth that you've already heard. Right? And this gives confidence. Confidence, the root word confide, the ability to confide in something, to open up and to tell the truth, right? And so confidence is the ability to understand your truth, knowing your truth. This is what confidence is, right? I know that I can't dunk the ball. I'm clear about that, but I've developed another shot and I'm good at it, and so I'm confident at that shot. I am not confident. I have confided in myself that I am not able to do that feat, right? This is knowing my truth. This is me dealing with what it is that I came to do.